So this time of year, I do most of my bike rides after dark, actually. I'll cover the main front and rear lights that I use on my bike later on because they are really good. But I found some other really interesting lights floating around AliExpress, so let's check them out. My name, as always, is Luke, and welcome back to Trace Felling. So it's all well and good having decent front and rear lights on your bike, but when you indicate for a turn, you stick your hand out, but it's going to be pitch black, right? Most cars aren't going to see a hand sticking out in the dark. I've tried a few things in the past. This rear indicating bike light I showed before, and it's pretty cool. It's got a wireless remote that you can attach to your handlebars or wherever, and then when you click a button, hopefully you can see, yeah, you can indicate either way, but I feel like it is quite small and it's not super bright. So if I show you here, while I'm out and about and I'm indicating to make a turn, I don't think it's super obvious. Like if you were a fast moving car, you might miss it. So it is cool and definitely does work, but I feel like it's a little bit small to be the perfect solution.
I've also tried this kind of backpack thing, which is quite cool. It's got like an LED array. You just kind of strap it on. And again, it's got a remote for indicating left and right, which you can mount on your handlebars or wherever. It's very bright and pretty comfortable to wear actually, but it does look really goofy. And to be honest, it might serve to distract drivers more than anything. Plus, it's not super intuitive to use. So it flashes like this normally. Then once you indicate, it doesn't automatically turn off the arrows. Like it'll keep flashing with the left or right arrow for 5 minutes unless you press one of the other buttons on the remote, which produces either a red exclamation point or this weird flashing rhombus for some reason. So yeah, I really wanted to like this one, and it's kind of cool, but it's a bit annoying to use really.
But I found these gloves last year, right? And I'll be honest, they do look incredibly cheap and gimmicky, especially if you look on the product listing page for these things. But since buying them, I've legitimately used these on virtually every ride I've done after dark. When indicating, yeah, these hit a bit of a sweet spot for me.
So inside, I believe they have a ball bearing tilt switch. So if you can hear, they rattle ever so slightly. So with them turned on and my hands on the bars, yeah, nothing, but I stick out my hand to indicate and boom, they start flashing. Admittedly, they are red LEDs, not orange, but they work, they're hassle-free, rechargeable, don't require you to press any extra buttons or anything, and the extra large ones I bought fit over the top of my cycling gloves, which is great for the cold weather in the UK at the moment.
So these might seem quite tacky, and they're pretty cheaply made. No doubt about that, to be honest. But if you can find a pair for 10 or 12 quid, I genuinely think they're quite cool. I use them all the time when it's dark out. Like, you don't have to do anything extra like press a button. You just stick your hand out as you normally would and they light up. Having a remote with buttons on your handlebars is cool and it does work, but it's a bit of extra faff, takes your eyes off the road for a second. Whereas with these, you don't need to do anything else. Just stick your hand out and they light up. Yeah, sorted. So I'll stick some links to these if I can find them and the other bits that I've shown you down in the description for you. Okay, so these have the potential to be quite cool. Little lights you use in place of your bar end caps. These ones are super cheap. I think they cost me less than 2 quid for the pair on AliExpress. Really simple, literally just a push button switch and some LEDs.
So they look quite sleek once they're installed, but they use 2 button cell batteries, so they're not rechargeable and only last about 4 hours on a set of those batteries, and one of them broke on me pretty much straight away. You can see the threaded end here is literally just a screw set into the plastic, so yeah, not exactly super durable. These are the other ones that I tried, much more bulky and a bit more expensive at about 6 quid, but they are rechargeable. They can be red, green or blue. You can have them phase through a couple of different colors like I'm showing you here, or flashing red and blue, which I think in the UK is actually illegal because you could be argued to be impersonating a police officer, I think. I mean, I think you'd struggle to pull someone over using these, but yeah, maybe don't use that mode. They're not the brightest things in the world, but they're easily visible at night. They last about 4 hours on a charge, and they're quite discreet when they're off. I will say, this method of fixing them onto the bars by doing up a nut and squishing a big rubber grommet is, yeah, it's a bit crap. I always struggle to securely fix them in place, so not sure I'm going to keep them on, but they definitely work, so could be worth a look.
So I've had some really good bike lights from AliExpress. This rear one was 4 quid, I think. I got it 6 or 7 years ago. Really, really good, but I don't think they make this one anymore, actually.
So they actually still do, and I found it, £2.50p. I will say, it did have a tendency to let water seep inside during heavy rain, so I remember having to crack it open and reseal the casing with a bit of silicone bathroom sealant. But yeah, honestly, super bright, and I used this one for years and years.
This front light I've shown before, again, I've used it for a couple of years. Really good, cost about 20 quid on AliExpress. Yeah, this is a good choice. This one I've shown before, another great option for a front light, bright, durable, and uses the pretty ubiquitous 18650 battery, so you can break it open and stick in a new one when it kind of runs out. And again, it's pretty cheap. I think you can get this for about 18 quid on AliExpress at the moment. But these are the ones that I'm using for my front and rear lights at the moment. Both are from a company called Magic Shine.
The rear one is their See Me 50. You can get it for about 23 quid. IP6 waterproof, small, lightweight, looks great, nice and bright, and yeah, it lasts ages. Great little rear light. For the front, I've gone for their Evo 1300. It's quite spenny at 75 quid, but it is really, really good. And the coolest thing about this, it's got high and low beams. Basically, you have a little remote to switch between them. So useful. Just like you would in a car, you can light up the road ahead, but when something comes in the opposite direction, just dip the beam by pressing a button. It's incredibly bright. The high beam is 1300 lumens, which is about as bright as a standard halogen car headlight, actually. In my experience, lasts about 1.5 to 2 hours on high beam, much longer if you mainly use the low beam and switch to high when you need it. You can customize the available light modes with an app. It even shows you whether you have low battery on the remote itself by changing from green to red when you swap modes. Yeah, just a fantastic light. And I think I've got a discount code for Magic Shine as well, so I'll stick that in the description.
Now, some of you might know I was previously using their Evo 1700 model, this one here. It's even brighter and again has that wireless remote for switching between high and low beams, but I've gravitated towards the Evo 1300, even though it's slightly less bright because the battery life is a little bit longer. My rides at night usually last around 2 hours, something like that, and the Evo 1700 would usually last that long, no problem, but I just like to have a little bit of extra in the tank with the battery, if you see what I mean. Just in case I get lost or something goes wrong, I've still got my light to depend on.
Also, I guess quick disclaimer, I bought that Evo 1700 light myself on AliExpress back in November 23, did a video on it. One of the Magic Shine guys saw that video and sent me those other lights to kind of try out, hence having a discount code set up. So yeah, they've not paid me directly to show these lights, I just really like them, but I do get a few quid if you use my discount code. I think for the entirety of last year, I got 60 quid in commission, so it's not big bucks. But yeah, full transparency for you there, and you can check out those other lights from AliExpress if the Magic Shine ones are a bit too spenny.
So yeah, front and rear lights from Magic Shine, and then these weird indicating cycle gloves to stop me getting squished as I'm crossing traffic in the pitch black. So yeah, that's what I'm using at the moment, and I've got quite a cool related thing in the bonus clip, so stick around for that if you fancy it. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.
It's the bonus clip time.
Okay, so this stuff right here is pretty cool. So it looks like a just kind of generic roll of tape, and this whole roll cost me about 8 quid on eBay, something like that. But let me show you what it does. So if I switch off the lights here, and I switch off this one too, and then I turn on my flashlight on my phone, see these reflective strips on this LED backpack I showed you earlier? Well, this roll of tape, it doesn't look like it, but it's an iron-on version of those reflective strips. So one side of this tape is shiny, the other side is matte. So you lay the shiny side up on a garment or a piece of clothing, run an iron over the top, then you peel this shiny layer off, and you'll be left with strips like this that are reflective. So to demonstrate what I've done is I've actually ironed a few patches onto this set of River Island underpants of mine. So let me hang these up and you can kind of see how reflective it is. So with all the lights off and the flashlight on my phone on, this stuff doesn't look reflective at all, right? Looks quite dull. But once you apply it and peel that plastic layer off the top, this is what you get. So yeah, have a look at that. Light up underpants. So yeah, sticks on really well. Apparently it lasts about 15 washes before it starts to dull. And if I kind of get all the way back in the garage here, yeah, look at that, really bright, just as bright as the kind of real stuff on that LED backpack. Admittedly, a set of my underpants, not the kind of best place to put it, I suppose. But you can imagine if you stuck that to some cycle clothing, you'd really stand out in traffic. And yeah, this whole roll was like 8 quid. It's really cheap. Anyway, so lasts you ages. And yeah, you could put it on all sorts of stuff. I think I'll put a strip on my black
cycle jacket down the back, or maybe I'll put some on my black cycle gloves, or maybe just do a whole range of luminous pants. Who knows? Sky's the limit. But yeah, stuff is really cheap. I got this on eBay, but I'm sure you can get some on AliExpress as well. I'll try and find some links for you guys down there in the description. But yeah, definitely worth looking at if you want to light up the night. Right, anyway, enough of that. See you next time. Ciao.